Well, again, I have another episode of Around the Lake, and today we have Celeste Freeland. She's with Care Builders at Home. Celeste, what is Care Builders at Home for somebody who may not be familiar with your services?
So, CareBuilders at Home Bill is a really one-stop senior shop. So we started out with home care, right? So that means that we'll go into our clients' homes and we will help them to be maintained in the home by doing non-medical activities of daily living, right? From companionship all the way up to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and everything in between, with the key being non-medical. We then took on senior placement services for those seniors that either want a more social environment or they need a higher level of care. We help the families find the right place for them at no out of pocket cost. And we finally just also added mobility monitoring. So, you know that I've fallen, but I can't get up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they have the pen that they can push, or if they want fall detection, we can give them a watch. And that allows us to have less time in the home, but it still gives the family peace of mind that they have support if needed.
Celeste, I can't help but notice your background. So I know you're virtual, but you're not actually in the Bahamas or Jamaica, are you?
Oh God, Bill, no, but I wish I was. It's a beautiful day out, but
Yeah.
it's not quite beautiful enough for me. So this is where I want to be. So I'm going to be here
Yeah,
today with you.
me too. It's supposed to get up to 60 today, but gosh, that looks so inviting.
It
I was looking at
does.
your website of all of those services you just pointed out. You also care for veterans.
Absolutely. So we are VA approved, which many home care companies are not. And I think for those that are trying, it's a very long waiting list to become VA approved. I'm a veteran myself. My son is actually a chief in the Navy. He's working with NCIS. My father was a Vietnam veteran. So when I found out that the VA is really the only organization that pays for these services at 100%, it was a no-brainer for me. It's not always easy to get the veterans approved, but we walk them through that process. We hold their hand through that process to get them approved. And once we do, the VA actually pays more than what we charge. So that allows me to pass that additional dollars over to caregivers and hire better caregivers for our veterans. And I also strive to get veteran caregivers to work with our veterans as well.
What service were you in?
I was in the Navy, just reserves. So I wasn't a whole lot of active duty. So I was Navy reserves. I was an SK. But yeah, I mean, I had the bills that had to be paid. So I had to do the day to day 9 to 5, but I did want to at least in some way serve my country.
Celeste, there are a lot of different in-care home services. What makes Care Builders unique?
So I think the main thing is the very first thing I talked about when I talked about what we do. You typically have home care companies and you have placement service companies and you have monitoring companies. Very rarely do you have one organization that offers all three. As a matter of fact, I haven't encountered it. I've found companies that offer placement and home care, but I've never found a company that offers all three. And with that monitoring, we don't charge extra for that. The only thing that we charge is the cost of the monitoring, and we add that to the hourly rate. So the last person I signed up, we just increased the hourly rate by 20 cents to make sure that we covered that monitoring fee. But none of that goes in our pockets. I think the other thing is the personalized care, right?
Mhm.
So baby boomers are booming, right? We know that. And everyone knows that. And as a result, a lot of people have just run out saying, wow, money grab. And it's breaking my heart to see, number one, how many seniors is challenging to help because insurance doesn't cover a lot of it. It's primarily private pay and long-term care. But also how some people are really going after their dollars. We spend a lot of time one-on-one. We do the regular assessments where we go in, but very rarely am I in a person's home doing that assessment for less than 2 hours. The seniors, they want company, right? They need someone to talk to. And we make sure we give them that personalized care. We also will do less shifts. So many companies will say, well, we need 4 hour shifts 3 times a week. My only requirement, our preference is 4 hour shifts, but I can get it down to three. If I have one 3 hour shift once a month, I'm fine with that. We can
Mhm.
even get it down lower. We just have to increase the rate because we have some seniors that say, you know what, I can do all of that. I just want someone there to help me get in and out of the tub with my bath. So we'll go in for an hour, but we have to increase the rate for the hour for two or 1 hours because that then means that our caregivers are spending less time working and more time kind of driving from shift to shift. So I think we meet people where they are and meet that need, whatever that might be, and fill those gaps.
I know you said you're North Charlotte. What's your market area? What do you cover?
So, CareBuilders at Home is interesting because when I bought into it, it was like a mom and pop small shop, right? I am the first CareBuilders at Home in all of North Carolina. They've since brought another company in because it is a franchise in the Raleigh area. My actual territory is North Charlotte, all the way up through Lake Norman. And then I have a couple of clients, VA actually, in Gastonia. But I have clients all across Charlotte. So I have clients in Matthews. I have clients close to Lake Wiley because there is no one else here. We're not going to not help people that need the help. I make sure that our caregivers are located very close to where our clients are, but we're able to cover all of Charlotte, all the way up through Lake Norman, into Mooresville, beyond Mooresville, and then Gastonia as well. I don't have a problem reaching that because with everything being virtual, it really is about identifying the best caregivers in that specific area where that client might be. So right now, all of Charlotte is my territory. If and when that changes, I'll either be able to hold on to the clients I have, or I can give those clients and that caregiver to whoever might come into the territory as long as they promise to take care of the clients the same way that we have.
Some of the independent living centers provide some in care service for the people who live there, but not all of them are taken care of by that particular place that they're living. Do you provide services to some of our independent living centers?
Yes, we absolutely do. As a matter of fact, I have a few clients where it's interesting, these places are expensive. And there's one place in South Charlotte where I have a client whose mom, the daughter of the mom, put a camera up and realized that her mom was never being bathed, even though she was paying for that personal care. So at first we were looking at maybe moving her to a different placement, but the mom really loves it where she is. So instead, we just send our caregiver there 3 times a week to make sure that she gets a bath. We work alongside independent living, assisted living. We work side by side, hand in hand with hospice. I have a couple of clients that have hospice coming in, but they're only in there short term.
Right.
We can spend that greater time making meals, changing sheets, walking Fido if that's what they need, whatever they might need. And then even memory care. I'm getting ready to be pulled into a memory care environment where they're sadly getting ready to kind of split up a husband and wife. One has to go into memory care. So they've called our caregivers in, one of them to spend some extra time with the husband because that's going to be a little change for them. They'll be able to see each other, but it won't be the same. And we want to try and help them kind of work through that change. So absolutely. We'll work in pretty much any environment.
I know some of the homes, again, they also have really nice kitchens. So they'll have a dining hall and things like that. But every once in a while, the family wants to eat in their home. Are your caregivers equipped to maybe helping them make a sandwich or something, cooking them breakfast in the morning? Do you do that?
Yeah, so not maybe. That's a regular thing for us. Our caregivers can walk in the door 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, get them up, get them in the shower, help them get washed up and dressed, make a breakfast meal, right? Do some housekeeping while they're eating, prepare lunch, and then start working on dinner so they can leave shortly thereafter. It could be 4 hours, but now they can just put that in the microwave, press a few buttons. And by the way, we often cook meals that'll last a couple of days so that they don't have to have someone there every single day. Our goal is to try and condense as much as we can so that we can meet the budget.
How did somebody that was in the Navy Reserves transition to the home health care?
That's a very interesting question, especially when you realize my background really is IT project management.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm very corporate. But I find that project management kind of you can use it in every aspect of your life, and it's absolutely helped me here. I was working for a company called Ahold Delhaize, and I realized that I was always going to be the little girl in the room, right? It didn't matter how
mhm.
much experience. I have been a director of project management offices. I've built PMOs. I've mentored and managed over 50 people at a time. But I got to the point where I hit that glass ceiling and I just wasn't going any further. And I just realized I was always going to be the little girl in the room that they look at to get coffee. So that became a little frustrating for me. And then I added to that I wasn't making a difference in anybody's life. It became more and more difficult for me to look in the mirror. So in a past life, I used to be very community engaged with at-risk youth.
Yeah.
But after that last one kind of aged out and they had worn me out, I figured I'd focus on just me for a minute. But that got boring after a while. So it's important to me that I do make a difference in people's lives. I love working with the families. And as a result, I said, okay, well, what can I do that I can own? where I could make a difference. And at the time, my godmother was going through some challenges. She just recently passed away, but her experience helped me to see this need. So I purchased a franchise for home care. Unknown unknowns all over the place. But as a project manager, I had planned for that.
Yeah.
And now we're in a place where we're doing fairly well and we're helping as many people as we can. And I'm using my project management skills all day, every day. And then also that always being prepared and all those other wonderful things we learned in the military as well.
Celeste, I was going to ask you, my last question was going to be, what do you enjoy most about your job? But I think you just answered it.
I absolutely love working with the families. There's nothing like going in and doing an assessment and kind of understanding and seeing firsthand what people need,
Mhm.
and then matching them up with the right caregiver, right? Because yes, your location matters. We need them to be close to the clients, but we also need them to have the right skill set, the right schedule. The most important thing is the right personality.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you make that right match, it's almost like a marriage. So many people have told us, oh my God, I'm so grateful that you brought this woman or this man into my life. If I don't have someone on deck that I can immediately assign that is the perfect fit, I find somebody, and I can usually do that within a week. All of our caregivers are background checked, drug tested, we're fully bonded, licensed, veteran owned, local. We follow all of North Carolina and the federal government requirements because we're VA approved. And I really just enjoy making a difference in people's lives, particularly the seniors. I
Yeah.
think in the past, working with the youth, I was looking behind me, and I think now I'm kind of looking ahead. And it truly does warm my heart to do this work. It's a lot of work and it's hard work, but it's heartwarming.
Well, Celeste, I want to thank you for spending time with us today on Around the Lake. We want to thank Joe Vagnone. He's a local business broker and is the presenting sponsor of this program. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for getting involved in the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. And everybody remember, love is in the care.
Thank you, Celeste.